a difficult situation in the chip making industry today. I was talking about that a couple of minutes ago. I think the reason why there is the shortage of chips in the world is just because global supply chains are breaking down. And also there are international sanctions against China's companies. Here are the largest chip providers in the world. And the third issue is that companies such as Apple are trying to develop their own chips. And as far as we know, to develop a product such as this takes lots of time. So it does not mean that Apple is going to produce its chips just in a matter of days or months. It's going to take some time, especially as they want to go into electric car business and they will certainly need their own chips in producing some artificial intelligence products in these electric cars. So I think that's the main reason why there is the shortage in chip supplies. So global supply chains are breaking, and that's the major point about that. I think it will take the situation will normalize. I think, Daniel, the situation is going to normalize later in the year, when the pandemics gets easier and industries will go out of lockdowns, countries will leave their lockdowns. So today we still live in a sort of a lockdown situation, and the largest manufacturers are locked in that sort of situation. They cannot supply the necessary parts and components just for the simple reason that they have to keep social distance, and also international sanctions is another factor behind that, and the willingness of companies such as Apple to be individualistic, to go separately from China, to go separately from Taiwan, Japan, to be monopolies, to monopolize the chip making industry today. Yeah.
So China is the great supplier of the microchips, yeah?
Yeah, China's today, especially Taiwan, not the mainland China, but Taiwan today, together with mainland China, is the largest chip manufacturer. Yeah, and in a couple of years, I think there won't be any competitors left. So Intel company and other companies such as Nvidia are going to decrease their share, and there will be I think they're going to do something else. They're going to diversify into more sophisticated business if they want to still keep afloat, if they would like to continue business altogether and not go bankrupt. So they will have to develop some new technology and do something else.
So can we suggest or predict some kind of growth of Nvidia shares, for example, in the nearest future or in the nearest 2-3 years?
If everything goes all right, if everything goes okay, if the pandemic eases, if Nvidia creates a new technology and there is no financial bubble bust on the global financial markets, then we of course may expect this growth. But like I said, it depends. So you got to do something before this happens, and lots of things should happen.
because somebody who names is Gordon or Gordon, I don't know, saying that in total, like the tendency can demonstrate that Nvidia can have a growth till $1,000, and now it's $600.
Well, today actually financial markets very bring lots of surprises. For example, last time I was talking about GameStop company. Its share, yeah, it rose something like 3,000%, and then it collapsed also and lost billions of dollars in terms of market capitalization. So, of course, innovative companies such as Tesla, Nvidia, they have the highest growth prospects in the financial markets. But we also got to be very, very careful about the simple fact that exponential growth usually stops still, and there is a sort of a financial bubble which is going to burst, and this sort of thing happened in the in the early 2000s with the dot-com bust, when many internet companies that many people were crazy about these internet companies, and their shares were growing and growing and growing. They skyrocketed. They gained in market capitalization, and everything collapsed. And then there was this plus 9/11 terrorist attacks in the United States, and there was a complete disaster in the financial markets, and the loss of competitiveness. And then, of course, there was the financial bubble of 2007, when lots of financial companies, banks, speculated with derivatives, and that also led to a sort of a bubble with they speculated too much with financial engineering products, and today they are trying to recreate this a sort of the situation with cryptocurrencies. And I think this is also not going to be very good in the end. In the end, the market may show some, of course, it may surprise sometimes, but everything has its limits. And exponential growth cannot go on to infinity. This is just a natural law. So it cannot go into infinity for more than a couple of years, maybe months. But to make a prognosis here is very, very difficult. What's going to come next, just because we live in the period of very huge uncertainties and very huge vulnerabilities. We did not still decided, we have not still decided the problem of the pandemics. We still live in the world of uncertainty due to trade wars between the major between the major countries, and we also do not know what's going to happen with the energy market. So everything is going to be dependent on just a few factors. But this market mania, and I think this is just this. I think this is the very word for it, market mania, just like the roaring 20s in the United States before the great crash of the Great Depression. Today we experiencing a sort of thing now in this sort of environment. I'm not trying to oppose people from buying into shares in the global markets, on the financial markets, because it may get much profit and much return to you. If you enter the market today, for example, you may become very rich if you invest in cryptocurrencies, into Tesla shares. But the problem with this, even if you are successful in the financial markets today, there may be not enough liquidity in the market for you to get paid. So, for example, just imagine that everyone goes to the market and buys into Tesla shares or Bitcoin, and they bring their life savings, they bring their annual salaries, or they even take some loans and go into the financial markets and buy each and every financial product. So the amount of money going into the industry is going always less than the market capitalization that produces it. So that means that
it's all about bubble.
Yeah, it's all about the bubble. Yeah, it's all about the numbers behind these speculation activities. So this sort of bubble is going to inflate and inflate, and there will just not be enough money for everyone to get. So there will be a few lucky guys in the market. He would get the largest share of the profit, and the rest of the people will just lose, and there will be the greatest transfer of wealth again. So people who worked their whole life for their life savings, for their pensions in the old age, they just would spend each and every penny, each and every ruble now on the financial markets, and this wealth is going to be redistributed, and it will go into the hands of people like Vekselberg or Khodorkovsky or Abramovich and other people. Who are much more clever than the simple folk, so to speak. And also they know which brokers are the best. They know who are the brokers that would repay them the money, because it depends again on the people who know the situation, who know some insider information which is not available to simple people. But of course, even these simple people, maybe there will be a few of them who would also get benefit from this financial bubble, but certainly not everyone is going to benefit. And I think that's for sure. So you got to be very, very careful. And if you so the strategy today is to enter the market and exit right away after a few seconds. So do not wait for the profits to accumulate. Do not be too greedy. Just try to enter the market and exit, and try to make a short-term profit, and try to withdraw this money as much as you can, and as far as your broker is still working, is still not bankrupt. And especially in Russia, and especially due to the simple reason that the financial markets today are very short in liquidity. I think I think the reason why the United States and Europe are printing money today in bulk, in trillions of dollars, is just because they fear that if everyone goes into the financial market will not have the money to pay them, and they have to inject more and more money in order to satisfy the growing demand for financial products. Certainly, I don't think that this is a very prudent and good policy, because it may lead to hyperinflation, it may lead to the loss of willingness in people, on part of the people, to produce real goods. Who's going to study? Who's going to produce cars? Who's going to go to? Who's going to fly on the Mars or on the Moon? Well, actually, I think if we continue this market mania, people will just get disinterested in real activities, in real life activities, and will live in sort of a cage that looks more like a computer game or gambling sort of activity than real life. Well, actually, I think it's better to produce a real value, a real added value, and to produce good technologies that would increase human capacity to produce more real good and real value, so that not just a few people get benefit from this growth, but the majority of the population gets benefit. But history shows that things happen quite differently, that the rich people are getting even richer and the poor people are getting even poorer. And this is also one of the laws behind the market theory. The market is a very good thing. It stimulates competition, it stimulates innovations, it stimulates human capacities in everything. It stimulates the desire to study, to learn more, to try to get some qualifications in some sphere. But the thing is that this market is a wild thing. It's a predator thing. It consumes everything, and if you do not cope with the pressure of the market, if you cannot get support in this market, if you do not have some strength inside your character, then it will just consume you, and you would perish in that sort of market. So that's why there are governments in the world who try to make market forces more social looking. Like in Germany, they call their market economy social market economy, because it is more oriented on people. But you also got to understand that Germany is the country where there are very many family businesses, and people are actually not really concerned about the government and what it is doing. So they're living their own life, they're trying to be the owners of their business, and they try to make the business themselves. In Russia, we live in a very different country, in a very different situation. We do not have so many opportunities in terms of creating our own business, because people are afraid of taking risks, entrepreneurial activities, and the government is not really interested in that. We've got a very high level of crime and organized crime, and if not the government, then other people would come and take our business from us. So the only possible strategy for a sort of a good life in Russia is to get a good job, a well-paid job, and a good career. And that's why we are so interested in education. In Germany and the United States, they're not much interested in education, just due to the simple reason because they are so interested in creating their own business. and run their own business. But in Russia we do not have such an opportunity, and actually maybe this is part of the reason why people are so eager to go into the financial markets, because in the financial markets you do not have to be a business, you do not have to be a company. You are an independent individual with your own money, and you take your own risks, and well, if you get a profit, that this is your profit and nobody else's. You do not have to pay taxes to you do not have to pay a salary to your employees. You do not have to pay some insurance benefits, or you do not care about someone getting maternity or paternity leave, and all other sorts of things. So you are a free person, and I think this is also one of the reasons why people are attracted to financial markets today, especially in Russia. Do you have more questions, dear students? Actually, we're coming to the end of this lecture, and well, there are some projections about what's going to happen in the near future. Well, we were talking about the cryptocurrencies and the boom in the cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin beats all the records in these terms. Tesla company invested $1.5 billion just to diversify its share in investment portfolio. But I don't think that's going to make it a very successful story. Yeah.
So maybe we can discuss something about inflation, because as we know, the rating, I mean the rate in Google Trends in the right now is on the highest level since 2011. So people are afraid about inflation, like in the whole globe, I think, and in the US mostly. So and there are a lot of news about Shell's Shell's shares and agri production. And what can you say about inflation right now? Like what I mean, what kind of diseases can cause inflation for which companies maybe, and which companies can win because of inflation right now?
Yeah, I think that actually the reason why the governments are so eager to print money in bulk is that they completely lost any fear in inflation. And inflation today is feared by people and economists who remember the Great Depression in the 1920s and 1930s, and maybe even some post-war years, and the 1970s as well. Yeah, the 1970s is the most recent example of global inflation, and I think people who remember the 1970s oil crash, 1970s oil crisis, I think these people are trying to warn other people that inflation is a real danger, and if you continue doing the things which you're doing today, this is not going to end very positive, on a positive note. So I think that of course today this is not really clear that inflation is really going to accelerate. There are not so many indicators saying this, and central banks in the United States and Europe, they will keep printing more money. So we got to expect more money come into the market. And it's not going to be in terms of hundreds of billions of dollars. It's going to be in terms of trillions of dollars and trillions of euros. They're planning to, in the United States, they're planning 2 more trillion US dollars in stimulus packages, and in Eurozone they're also planning something like 3 trillion euros coming in 2021 to stimulate the economy and to recover from the pandemics. And history repeats, like they say, but history repeats in very mysterious ways. We always understand that it has really repeated only after it already happened. Maybe there will be some sort of a inflation, but the economic theory says that the more money you print, the higher the possibility of inflation and hyperinflation, the galloping inflation. And I think, you do not to be a super clever in thinking or understanding that more money brings more inflation and more devaluation, depreciation of the local currency. I think in Russia we witness that all the time. Ruble devalues against the dollar. We do not have really inflation, but we've got implicit inflation, invisible inflation, just due to the simple reason that ruble loses its value against the other currencies in the world. And the more the situation is escalating, the more we've got these difficulties and problems with our currency and inflation in Russia. So, does it answer your question, Daniil?
Yes, thank you very much.